I'm Margaret Hantiuk, and I'm a painter and artist living in Victoria. I did a fine arts degree from UVic in the early 80s. My first 2 years were done in the Alberta College of Art, so I had a great 2 years of foundation drawing and painting in a studio school. And then at UVic I did painting and art history. And then I went to work and had children and a family and have not had much time for my art and have retired and are starting to paint and draw again. So my original art I did at UVic was large abstracts and oils, and now I'm doing work that I want to be more personally related with. So I'm doing work from my own photos of landscape. I'm not so interested in plein air painting at this point, so I'm working off of my own photos, which I simply print at home with a very kind of cheap inkjet printer, crop down so that I get a composition I really find interesting, and then use this tiny photo as just a reference or starting material, and then I abstract from that photo to get an interesting composition. And so the photo is a resource and becomes less of a resource as the painting takes its shape and its form. Okay, this is an oil painting of when I was in West Vancouver a couple of years ago at Christmas, and it snowed there. This is very unusual, but what was really unusual was the light, the late afternoon light on the snow and on the shore in the background, and I was so fascinated by that I took a bunch of photos there, and this was one of the paintings from that. Okay, these two are abstracts, but they actually come from drawings from photos of the woods, and these are actually the shadows of in the woods, and so I abstracted from the shadows and so made a series of paintings from the shadows of light and dark from the forest and all the debris in the forest. Examples. These two are examples of travels in New Mexico. I went with a friend as kind of homage to George O'Keeffe, and did fall in love with the landscape there, and took piles of photos and did a series of work from the landscape there. These are acrylic paintings of New Mexico. These are paintings from Mexico, and they are again from travels in Mexico and from photos. And what I like about these is I became involved with the culture there too, and so there's quite a strong narrative element. The one on the left is the fishermen's boats as they come in from fishing in the bay there, and the one on the right is a crypt from the cemetery in Sayulita. And so there's kind of a cultural commentary involved with these paintings too. These are examples of my last series I've been working on. They're a series of seeds. They're from photos of a scientific text of woody shrubs of BC, and the photos are amplified and the seeds are cut open and amplified, and I was fascinated with the structure of the seeds and the vitality of the seeds, and so I decided to do a series on them. The one on the left is a hydrangea, and it's an oil, and the one on the right is Saskatoon bush, and it's an acrylic. Okay. I also love to draw, and I'm using watercolor pencils, acrylic ink, and graphite pencils, and kind of a painterly style of drawing, and again expressing my keen interest in botany. This particular piece is an abstract expression of my notion of spring and seeds. Here's another example of taken from a photo of a trip to Alberta off the Yellowhead Highway, and the landscape in spring when all the dogwoods are just starting to turn a beautiful color, and the poplars, and kind of the moody landscape of the Rocky Mountains with cloud cover. And here's an example of, again, that materials, graphite pencils, Conte, acrylic inks, kind of like just an exercise of enjoying the materials and making a piece work. Yeah, I think there's quite a lot of dialogue now about abstract versus representational, and I find that a very kind of irrelevant and just not important part of the discussion. The discussion to me should be really about how the piece works, what it says, how it engages the viewer, what is the intent of the artist, how are they using their materials, is there something new and interesting, are they pushing the materials, are they trying to say something that's interesting. I don't really care anymore whether it's abstract or whether it's I just care about how well it's done and what the person's trying to say and how it affects me as a viewer, and where is the commitment of the person to their art, where are they coming from and why they're doing the art, and just how it engages me if I really like it, if it's interesting. And that's to me what art is really about.